Hey, and welcome back to the Emlyn in the Mix podcast, season 2, episode 39 for October the 10th, I believe, 2021. I can't believe I don't even know what the date is. Actually, it's the 9th. I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, whenever you're listening to this, whether it be the future or the past, maybe you've gone back in time, you've got a DeLorean, and you've actually gone back to October the 8th, 2021, and now you listen to this podcast. Welcome to the podcast. My name is Emlyn, of course, and this is Emlyn in the Mix. We're going to kick off the podcast with absolute bangers today, but before we get stuck into it, can I just say welcome back to all of my regular listeners. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you're watching on YouTube as well, thank you for watching over there. I love doing this podcast for you guys. I actually really enjoy, I wake up, we're doing it weekly at the moment. I wake up and I get all excited. I'm like, oh, there's so much cool news to talk about. And for those of you who are new listeners to the podcast, haven't heard this podcast before, what is it about? What am I going to actually talk about? Well, as you can see, I like to talk quite a lot and I'm going to be rambling a lot, but we're talking about music gear, specifically audio technology, whether it be software and hardware. This week we've got quite a few hardware contingents. Is that even the right word for this? Probably not. We got hardware entries into our podcast and YouTube video today, which is really exciting. And as I said, I'm kicking it off with an absolute banger. This thing looks super gorgeous. Let's get stuck into the podcast. So the first item here comes to us from Universal Audio. Now you might have already heard, but they just dropped some brand new audio interfaces this week. And these just look so gorgeous. So on the surface, aesthetically, they look really beautiful, but it's what's underneath the hood that counts when you have an audio interface, because more or less you want the sound going into your computer where you're recording. You want it to sound good. You don't want it to sound like just random rubbish. And, there are some audio interfaces on the market, especially cheapo ones that, don't really translate what you're trying to record into something that is actually usable. So let's talk about this. What is this? So it's called the Volt audio interface, Volt USB audio interface. Now, hopefully it's USB 3. I actually don't know, but we're going to find out with you today on the podcast. So let me read a little bit about it here, coming to us from the Universal Audio website. So classic sound right now. So Universal Audio have built Volt interfaces to let you easily record audio with classic studio sound. Plug right into your Mac, PC, iPad, or iPhone, and Volt just shows up, ready to capture your music, live stream, or podcast with professional studio tone, courtesy of Universal Audio. Now, if you are someone who does mobile recording, or perhaps you take your audio computer to your work and you need to record, or whatever it is that you do, podcasting, this is going to be great because, not only are you going to have a portable audio interface which you can plug into your laptop, or, as you're going to see in a second, iPad, even iPad tablets get a taste of this audio interface. It's just small, portable, but you're also going to be getting the quality of Universal Audio. So here's some of the features. So best-in-class audio quality for professional recordings. Now that's Universal Audio's statement. There are a bunch of audio interfaces on the market which also claim the best sounding, but being the Universal Audio, we know from the Apollo series, especially their smaller, are they Apollo? I think they are. Those smaller audio interfaces have incredible conversion in their sound quality. You also get vintage mic preamp mode for rich, full sound. Record vocals and instruments with classic sound of UA mic line preamp with tube emulation circuitry. That's really cool. This is the clincher though. This next bit, built-in 76 compressor with perfectly tailored presets. Now, boom, that is just... Why am I getting excited? Because that feature there is something which is not present, to my knowledge, is not present on any of the Apollo series, which is Universal Audio's previous audio interfaces. This is a new feature. So basically you can add clarity and punch to voice, instruments, and other sources with an analog compressor based on UA's iconic 1176 compressor. So it's based on their old school compressor mixer, and this is now built into this audio interface. Now, one question I do have is actually, because I know with the Apollo audio interfaces, you have processing on board. I don't know whether this actually has processing on board, but maybe it has some kind of processing going on. Anyway, we're going to find out hopefully. So an essential suite of audio software is included. Okay, cool. Produced with industry leading software, including Ableton, Melodyne, UJAM's Virtual Drummer, Marshall, Ampeg, and more. So it comes with a bunch of software to get you started. Here's a cool picture here. If you're watching on the YouTubes, you're watching the video, you'll see the audio interface is actually connected to an iPad. That right there to me is just sexy. Like the audio interface just looks, the audio interface looks awesome, aesthetically looks awesome. Again, I know it's not about the looks, but that is a damn good looking audio interface. Has like a retro, for those of you listening to the podcast, has a retro look mixed with modern, and anything that sort of has a nod to retro and has the modern capabilities, in my eyes, I love that sort of stuff. I guess it brings a bit of a nostalgic vibe, but it just looks really nice. And I'm sure, being that it's UA, it's going to be high quality. I've got UA all around me here in this studio here, and the UA quality is bar none. It's very nice indeed. So it looks like you can hook it up to your iPad. Now, there is 4 versions of the audio interface. Sorry, 5 actually. So we've got Vault 1, which is a 1-in, 2-out bus-powered USB 2.0 audio interface. You got the Vault 2, which is the 2-in, 2-out bus-powered. And then we move over to the Vault 176. So Vault 1 and Vault 2 don't include the 176 processor, judging by just looking at these 5 different tiers of audio interfaces that you actually have. So the Vault 176, you can record a classic with iconic UA tone shaping. So this is the one that has the 176 on board, 1 in, 2 out. And then it goes up from there. You got the Vault 276, which is 2 in, 2 out, and Vault 476, 4 in, 4 out. That's the big mother beast there. It gives you the most ins and outs options. You can compare. There's a little preview here. You might want to head over to Universal Audio. You can check out that video. I don't think it's really relevant for my podcast here today. Just has some dudes in a studio and then they start making music. And yeah, that's exciting. I wanted to kick the podcast off with a banger. I know the last few weeks, it's not the IK Multimedia group buy. No, we're not talking about that to kick off the podcast right now. We're just talking about this really sexy audio interface. If you are in the market or you're in the need for getting the sound quality into your computer, or maybe you're starting a podcast or you want to start recording, definitely consider checking out the Vault by Universal Audio. I don't think they're going to be too expensive. I don't know if we have a price here. Let's have a look. They are released. No, we don't have a price here, but I'm judging from the look of it, you're going to be looking probably for the big beast there, the 4 in, 4 out. You might be looking at about $399 USD, which isn't too bad considering the Apollo series are probably about nearly double that. But you do get the processing on board. All right, let's move on to our next piece of news. Hopefully this website loads. There we go. It is loading. Now, this is actually a leak, but it is hardware related, which is really cool. So this comes to us from Roland. I'm wearing my Roland hat today. I don't know if you can see that there on the video, but representing a bit of Roland love here. But this is actually a leak. This isn't 100% confirmed yet, but it's pretty much going to happen. So Roland's SP-404 is now being upgraded to the 404 MKII, and it's going to feature cassette simulation, velocity sensitive pads, and a 16 gigabyte memory, according to this alleged leak. So this is probably exciting for those of you who are Roland sample based users, or you love using these SP drum computers. I know they're quite popular. They do have a bit of a scene. So basically in this update, which was revealed, the Roland SP-404 sampling workstation sampler appears to be on the way, at least according to an alleged listing for the SP-404 MKII that surfaced online. And threads on Reddit and the Electronauts forum discuss the purported sampler sharing a listing and product description allegedly posted and subsequently taken down by US retailer Sam Ash. And according to the alleged spec sheets, MKII features 32 voices of polyphony, 17 velocity sensitive pads, and an OLED screen for waveform editing and upgrades under the hood that improve boot up and project loading times. Now, if you're watching on the YouTube video here, this I don't know whether is the actual picture from the leak. It does look a little bit different to the current current SP Roland samplers on the market, but that's something to look out for and be excited about. And I like it. If this rumor comes into fruition, you heard it first here on Emlyn in the Mix. That's why you listen to the podcast, find out about new and exciting and cool gear. All right, let's move on to our next piece of news here. And this comes to us from our friends at Roli. And they've just released a new sound pack. So this is more for your ambient creation, your, getting into the mood, etheric pads, soundscapes, lush soundscapes. This is going to deliver. This is going to do it for you. Let's have a quick listen. I'm going to start talking and you can hear how this sounds. Damn. Sounds like Ibiza sunrise. You've been out, you've been partying all night, and now the sunrise is coming up, and you've got some yoga instructor on the stage, and they're, anyway, if you plan to design music like that, Etheric Pads is the one for you. I love that Roli seems to still be releasing sound packs. I wonder whether they just had all of these up their sleeve, because I swear that they seem to be releasing one of these sound packs, expansion packs, on an almost weekly basis. Look, Roli have been a big supporter of Emlyn, from Emlyn in the Mix. Don't know why I'm talking about myself in a third person, but they've been a supporter of the Emlyn in the Mix podcast, so that's why I'm shouting out some love. I want to show their sound packs. I do want to mention I don't get any kickbacks. I need to say this, I guess, on a weekly basis, because I don't know whether you guys know or not, but I don't get any kickbacks from any of these companies for mentioning their products on the podcast. I just do it because I love what they create. I love what they do. Sometimes I do get equipment to test out and show you guys, and that's why, you come along, hashtag subscribe to the Emlyn in the Mix YouTube channel. If you haven't done that already, listening on the podcast, head over to YouTube right now, type in Emlyn in the Mix, same title as this podcast. You'll find my YouTube channel there. Hit subscribe, because I put up heaps of new videos, and we put the podcast up as well. So if there's something I'm talking about on the podcast you want to actually see and visualize it, that's the best way to do it over there. All right, so this sound pack: create lush soundscapes with etheric pads, embrace your inner peace with etheric pads. Sound pack for Strobe 2 and Roli Studio filled with meditative, spacious, and soothing cinematic pads. Whether you're creating sci-fi scores or ambient epic, etheric pads will generate tranquil atmospheres instantly. All right, so there's one for those of you who are into that. Next one comes to us, would you believe, this comes to us from Nexus. So this is part of the REFX company, the Nexus expansion Hollywood piano. And it's a piano. Yeah, it's not an EDM pack. For finally, we don't have some whiz-bang freaking electronica EDM pack. I mean, they seem to have slowed down on releasing those, but this looks pretty cool. This is Hollywood piano. There's a massive demo here, and I'm going to play the whole thing. We've got a very, very talented player here. Let me just quickly read what's so special about this piano sample, because if you don't have a good piano in your library, it might be worth checking out. I know I already have a bunch as part of the Native Instruments. I really like some of the Native Instruments sampled pianos, but this sounds pretty good. I had to listen to this before the podcast. I want to show you guys. So let me just read a little bit here from the RFX website. Have you been looking for the best piano samples around? Look no further. Hollywood Piano offers a vast and truly gigantic multi-sample library of some of the best modern grand piano sounds available. All of these best-in-class pianos were painstakingly recorded with countless velocity zones by Manuel Schilz. I hope I'm saying that right, probably not, himself, with state-of-the-art recording equipment and a lot of care, time, and love. Enjoy the finest nuances in touch and action with Hollywood piano, including organic pedal noises when using the sustain pedal. A variety of unique macro assignments will also empower you to tweak sounds progressively to meet your needs, precisely to meet your needs. All right, let me play a little bit back here for you and enjoy the sounds of this awesome sounding piano samples from RFX. Ah, I love this piece of music. Just have to say. What movie did they use this in? They used this in a movie, Heaps. A recent movie. Sort of recent. Okay, I think we get the idea. It's a freaking nice sounding piano. Alright, I'm gonna end it there, but you get the idea. Very, very meticulously sounding sampled piano there. Expansion pack, of course, for the Nexus 3, and it is $60. Look, I mean, if you need a piano, then this would be worth checking out. I really like the sound of that piano. It's a very nice sounding piano. And yeah, it comes with a bunch of presets. Let's see, does it tell us how many? 32 presets. You got dance pianos, of course, in their Mega 80s Rompler stack, dance pop piano. I think it might be worth checking out. I might have to check this out myself, but there you go. I like the sound of it. Hollywood piano there, a Nexus expansion by RFX. Well done, Tim. Looks good. All right, so here is the piece of news that's usually at the start of the podcast. IK Multimedia's group buy. Yeah, we've heard it. I mean, if you've been listening to the podcast the last few weeks, you will have known I've spoken about this many times. I just wanted to give you a quick update. So essentially, this is going to the end of this month. It's really, really exciting now because they're starting to add hardware. I don't know if it's on this website or this web page here, which hardware yet is. I'll get down to that in a sec. But they've reached tier 22, nearly at tier 25. So this is, if you don't know what this is basically IK Multimedia, very, very big software and hardware company from Italy, music software and audio technology company. And they're celebrating their 25th anniversary by doing a group buy. So currently they have 21,937 participants in this group buy. And if they get the 25,000 participants, then this group buy will more or less mean you purchase one product and you get 25 for free. So they're nearly there. They're at tier 22, which means you get 23 products for the price of one. So it's just a crazy deal. Again, no kickback on this at all. If we jump down here, they've got some qualifying hardware products now. So if you purchase one of these hardware products, you essentially get 22 pieces of software, I believe. I don't think you're going to get 22 pieces of hardware, but they got a bunch of cool things here. I've reviewed this iRig mic before and the iRig mic cast. Head over to Emlyn in the Mix on YouTube if you want to check those out. We've even looked at, I think we might have looked at iRig MIDI, maybe not. iRig keys 2. Any of these MIDI controllers. Oh, even now, this wasn't here yesterday. They've actually included, so if you purchase a brand new Uno synth or Uno drum, you will qualify for this 22 or 23 products for the price of one. Wow, that is really cool to see. So there's that little piece of news from IK Multimedia. We'll probably talk about it till it's finished, till the end of this month. And as we head towards Cyber Monday, Black Friday deals, boom, coming up soon. Get excited for that. Next piece of news here quickly from IK Multimedia, and that is just to let you know the Amplitube, this is for my guitar players out there watching this podcast or listening to it, that Amplitube's X-Gear digital effects pedals are now shipping. So they're finally shipping. And yeah, if you don't know what that is, I did speak about it on the podcast, a few podcasts ago. But October 7, 2021, IK Multimedia releases Amplitube X-Gear Now, available. Each high-performance pedal, what are they? They're high-performance guitar pedals, more or less, featuring 16 different effects drawn from the most popular Amplitube models. So if you've played with the Amplitube software, you might be familiar with this. Amplitube software is just a guitar emulation software by IK Multimedia. So you have all new reverb and delay algorithms, bringing IK's industry-leading effects out of the computer and onto pedal boards, so you can take it on the stage with you. That's worth checking out. Just sort of mentioned that here in the podcast. Now, this next one is not for the lighthearted. We're going into audio nerd. We're going into audio nerd arena right now. I don't even know what you're going to call this, because this is freaking, it's cool, but what is going on here? So we're going to be looking at Nest by Sugar Bytes, and then we have one last product here in the podcast I want to talk about, which literally dropped overnight. My mind was blown. I was like, what is going on here? I have no idea, but we're going to talk about that. But before we get to that, let's talk about Sugar Bytes Nest. What is Sugar Bytes Nest? Well, it is a DIY sequencer but it's a little bit more than that. So let me just read here. So it's a rule-based MIDI sequencer. Nest is a modular system which gravitates around the creation of MIDI. The basic ingredients are 20 modules inspired by classic integrated circuits and today's computer features, a clever voice-to-synth assignment, 12 patch scenes, and a quad VST synth MIDI interface. Now, there is a little trailer here. I think it's just sound, but I'm just going to read back a little bit here, and if you're watching on the YouTubes, you'll see. Let's have a look here. Sugar Bytes presents Nest. So it's a MIDI generator, has integrated circuits, so you can create a music making machine. More or less, you can just build up your own instrument. And you can send it out to multiple destinations. That's the cool thing. Hook it up with external or internal synthesizers. You can load VST plugins and more or less drive your hardware. Oh, it's got drag and drop. That's cool. Yeah, cool. So look, it isn't obviously for the faint-hearted. Look, I'm probably not the kind of person that likes to build my own synthesizers, but if you are into Eurorack, you're into plugging various things into different areas and nerding around with audio and sound, this is for you. And I know Softube's done something similar. I think it was called Heartbeat. Anyway, it's still available. Softube has an actual plugin which emulates the Eurorack as well. But Nest is a different kind of beast. Just having a quick look here if you're watching on the YouTubes. Got a nice big picture here. Wow, it's loading as if I'm on dial-up. What is going on there? All right, we get a nice look here. So you got shift registers. I don't know much of this stuff. I'd probably have to learn a bit more. You got converters. You got your clock. I at least know what a clock is. A clock basically, syncs to the DAW so you can have it in different intervals or different timings. So it looks like you got 1/16. You'd have half beat, full beats, so forth. You got noise generators, MIDI input, arpeggiators, sequences down the bottom there. You got a whole bunch of pitching and gating. I don't know if it's not like your classic synthesizer with your ADSR. Like, this is going even beyond my level of audio knowledge. But look, if you're interested in this, you want to learn about it, building your own sequencer, then this could be really interesting. So let's have a look. What is Nest? So Nest is a modular sequencer. It offers all kinds of modules to generate and process triggers and numbers. You can build highly complex sequencing environments with the aim to produce music with a life of its own. That's pretty much what people who have Euroracks are doing. They're pretty much making the music like almost like alive. It's sort of like pulsating and going off into weird sort of areas. And that's why I guess people like doing or playing with the Eurorack environment. So Nest is equipped with the resemblings of classic transistor-based integrated circuits like shift register or multiplexers, plus programming tools like the if, else, and math modules, also a writable sequencer and flexible arpeggiator on board to make life easy when needed. That's that stuff there, the stuff that I actually know about the sequencer and the arpeggiator, that's where I would come in. So a clever voice assignment distributes the 8 possible MIDI voices to up to 4 different sound generators like VST, internal synths, and drums, or MIDI channels. This can make Nest not only fun when hosting your favorite plugins, you can also use it to drive your hardware park. So yeah, you can have your external VST plugins hooked up and have a play. So it's a new sequencer every day. Hardware is made of interesting components and tinkering with them is loads of fun. I don't know about that. Maybe it is for some. Look, that's why I'm mentioning this on podcast, because I know it would be fun for some. So Nest provides this experience with outsourcing parts and magic smoke. It provides access to the main building blocks of modern electronics, and it allows for free patching and experimenting. And you can throw circuits together like Lego bricks, and with that, sheer endless possibilities open up. Create beats from numbers and numbers from beats, distribute patterns across multiple sound sources, build intelligent song machines. Nest is a super flexible composition tool which brings together classic transistor logic with modern computer functions. The wire patching offers endless possibilities and surprises. I suppose that would be another benefit of having something like this. With 12 patch scenes and powerful sound interface, Nest is a little laboratory for complex, intelligent music machines. All right, so again, I said this isn't for the faint-hearted, but if you're into tinkering with, making your own sequences more or less, then damn, go and check out Nest. What's the intro price on this? $99 USD. Looks like a bit of fun. Let's have a listen back to some of the sounds and presets. Here's an ambient one for us. Wow, pretty cool. You can hear the random sort of stuff. I want to hear hard up. Let's have a listen to hard up. Here we go. Let's have a listen to the next one here. LSFR Jam Long. All right, let's listen to Cordy here. We'll jump over to Cordy. That actually reminds me of my old Casio keyboard from back in the day. It just had that same sort of sound. But anyway, look, you get the idea. It's going to give you random sort of sounds or generate random sequences. Sorry, not sounds. And it's going to give you some surprises, as they said in the statement. I can see how that would actually be quite a bit of fun. I like, like music as a creation, I just like to be inspired. To be real with you, I just like stuff that gets me inspired. And if this does that, then this could be a lot of fun, and I'm definitely going to check this out. I'm definitely going to do a video on this on the YouTube channel. There is a demo, so you can have a play with it. If you like tinkering around with creating, some random sequences, then Nest is going to be for you. So check that out. Well done to Sugar Bytes. That's Nest. So this last piece of news here. My goodness, this came out of nowhere. And when this news came out, I was like, is this even new? I feel like I've seen this before. And please, I'm so sorry if this is actually an old piece of hardware, but I don't think it is, because we're looking at Teenage Engineering, and it's the Magic Radio OB4. Maybe this got a shout out somewhere because I feel like I've seen this before, but it's more or less saying that they're introducing it here because Teenage Engineering, this OB4, this thing looks pretty incredible. I feel like maybe Teenage Engineering had something with IKEA and they were making speakers, and I feel like maybe that's where I saw it. I remember at IKEA. Was it Teenage Engineering? No, I'm sorry. I'm getting mixed up with Sonos. Sorry, just forget that. But Teenage Engineering did do a collaboration with IKEA. So I stand somewhat corrected. Anyway, they did a collaboration with Sonos, did some speakers. This looks similar, but this thing is really interesting. So what is it? Gosh, I don't even know. We're going to talk about it on the podcast, but it is pretty damn interesting. If you're into audio technology, you're into creating, you're into music. Look, that's why I do this podcast. I want to help inspire you not spend all your money, but hell, I mean, if you have, no, just kidding. No to that. Just find the things that may be helpful and beneficial to you creating and being as creative as possible. And that's why I do this podcast. I love doing this podcast for you guys, as I said at the start of it. And if it gives you that inspiration, then we're on the right track. So introducing OB4, the portable high fidelity loudspeaker with two 4-inch bass drivers and a pair of neodymium tweeters. I don't know if I'm saying that right, probably am, that deliver crystal clear, open natural sound with 38 watts per channel. That's around 100 decibels of incredible sounding stereo. Listen using line input, Bluetooth, FM radio, and disc. Disc? What kind of disc is it? CD disc? The interface is minimal with only the things you really need. Yet, if you look below the surface, there's a lot more than meets the eye. So they're $599 USD. So what's the hocus pocus in this product? So have you ever wished you could instantly rewind when listening to the radio to hear the title of the song just played? OB4 continuously memorizes everything you listen. Yes, that's right. So it's memorizing everything that you've just listened to, whether it be Bluetooth, I guess, or FM radio, to an endless looping tape. So you can rewind, time, bend, and loop at the flick of your fingertips on purpose or by accident. Instant rewind on radio is just one of the OB4's magic tricks. So that's a really interesting concept. And again, this product may or may not be brand new, but gosh, we had to talk about it on this podcast. This is so interesting technology right here. So what does it feature? Let's have a quick look here. You got natural sound, 4 Taylor engine speakers, elements deliver pure quality sound and stereo field that fills the entire room. A flow optimized bass reflex duct delivers deep natural bass. 72 hours of listening, and this could be good because if there's something you heard 72 hours ago, like you're going to remember it, but you might want to rewind and listen to it again. So how about normal radio listening for a week without charging? That's pretty cool. The high capacity LiPo battery delivers about 8 hours of noise at max volume, or on an average of 40 hours on a single charge. And the wireless part, the OB4 hardware platform supports both high definition Bluetooth Classic and Bluetooth low energy standards, works with Ortho Remote for wireless volume control. Smart antenna. We've spent years fiddling with the antenna so you won't have to. And for those tricky listening places, we've included a fine-tuned smart spiral antenna that neatly integrates in the handle. Yeah, the design's nice. It is teenage engineering, of course. Now, if you're looking on the video here, you'll see it's got this rotating motorized user interface. So use your fingers to grab, spin, and interact, much like a record player, really, with the sound. Digital motion controlled, volume knob, and tape reel. Tape reel, there you go. We call it the next level of user experience. I was going to say user interface experience, but it's not an interface. Or it could be. So turn your mind on with disc mode. Okay, here's disc mode. If you skip the traditional inputs like line-in, Bluetooth, and FM radio, you end up in disc mode. This is where we will continuously develop new experimental features for the OB4. It's our public research space where we allow ourselves to explore and prototype everything that this media instrument, as we like to call it, can become for now. There are 3 functions on the disc: ambient, calmer, and metronome. Shall we have a listen? Let's have a listen to ambient. Nice. You're listening to the Meditation Podcast. So you can zone out to a drone generated by snippets of a radio broadcast. Next one is metronome, high def stereo recording, 1 beat per minute up to 800. This is going to be metronome. Yeah. High quality sounding metronome. And then we got Karma, 30-1 musical Martha box, your spiritual companion. Mantra box, sorry. Karma, here we go. Okay. All right. And then not sure what was going on there. I guess that's the sample that's included in Karma. The handle stand, designed to be played outdoors in public spaces and at high volumes, carried on one shoulder with speaker elements facing the head note. It is assumed that passers-by share the same musical taste. Or why not give it a home in your kitchen? With any luck, the iconic handle makes it a breeze to carry anywhere and can even be used as a stand for more relaxed listening position. Look, it's a nice looking piece of gear. It's portable. You can take it along with you. You can listen to stuff. You can rewind. And there is I don't know who Bill Amberg is, but apparently there's a Bill Amberg edition. Just looks like it has a leather bag on it or something. There you go, guys. Teenage Engineering coming up with some really interesting products. I had another piece of hardware. It wasn't music related. I almost put it in the podcast only because it's Teenage Engineering this week, but it's more for your creative people who make 3D design, that sort of stuff. Anyway, that was pretty much it for the podcast today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope there was some interesting products in here for you today. These things got me really excited. I think for me today, the Universal Audio, this one here, the Volt, I think this really excites me as a portable audio interface solution. I love the look of this thing. We don't normally go back to the first product on this podcast, so I have to give it another shout out. It looks really cool. And yes, of course, Teenage Engineering with this OB4. Again, don't know if this is a brand new thing, but it did jump in my inbox. Looked like it came in overnight. It just looks really freaky. I've never seen anything like it before. And that's what we do on the podcast. We talk about music technology. We talk about audio technology, things that are going to get your creative juices flowing. That's why I love doing it. Thanks so much for joining me, guys, today on Season 2, Episode 39. We're rolling along 2021, coming to the end of the year. And Season 2 will wrap up in about 11 podcasts. We do this on a weekly basis, so make sure to subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more updates on when these podcasts go live. We usually go out on a Saturday or Friday evening if you're in the States. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. Till next time. Oh, leave us a review. That's what I had to say. Yeah, I can blabber on here at the back end of this podcast. I don't care. Leave us a review on the podcast if you haven't already. I'd love to hear from you guys. You can do it on iTunes, I believe, Apple iTunes. I think you can even do it on Spotify. I would love to know what you're thinking of the podcast. I do read all of the reviews, and it's really interesting. It actually, how iTunes puts the reviews, puts them in different countries. So I have to search for if you're from Africa or you're from America or you're from England. I have to look at those specific regions to find your review, but I'll still find them and I'll read them. I really like it. Also, if you want to reach out, maybe you're a dev, music dev, or you're just a listener, please reach out. I want to hear from you. Emlyn in the mix, all one word, @gmail.com. Slide into my DMs there if you want me to look at a product, or perhaps you have a product you're developing and you want it checked out on the Emlyn in the Mix podcast and YouTube. We will do it there. Thanks so much for joining me, guys. Peace out. Boom.